Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wrestle Plug podcast. We're exhausted. It's 5:30 in the fucking morning. Yes, indeed. Night One of Wrestlemania has just gone down. WrestleMania 38, of course, I'm talking about that. And now we're going to talk about the whole show. We're going to review it. I'm Aaron Nix, the most unprofessional man in all of professional wrestling. And of course, the Egyptian Death Machine launching out at your screens. But I can't do it alone, so the dynamic duo is in full effect. I am, of course, joined by the Maple Leaf Magician, the Duke of Diabetes, and Canada's favourite destroyer. Yes, indeed, Carl Wilkinson has joined me to discuss a cataclysmic first night of WrestleMania.
What a show, mate. What a show.
What a fucking show. Let's get into it, mate. Let's just break it all down as it goes. So the show opened with the Usos successfully retaining the SmackDown Tag Team Championships against Rick Boogs and Shinsuke Nakamura in a match. It was a match. I must admit, probably one of the more unfulfilling matches of the night.
I mean, this was a fucking SmackDown opening match. Like, the only saving grace from this was the correct decision. The Usos retained, because if they didn't, and we had made this proclamation on the State of Wrestling address, that we would have shut it off until the main event.
Yeah, I love how they opened with it as well. It was like, oh, fuck it then. Like, if they'd won, it would have been like, oh, I'm so glad they didn't, because we would have missed something truly special, which we're going to obviously talk about. And that's what you want to hear us talk about. But it was a match. And like, it never kicked into a high gear. It wasn't even a bad match. I thought the work rate was really good. But it was only like, 6.5, 7 minutes long. So
yeah,
it was just a match. Like, it was just a match. And it just didn't feel like it belonged there. And I think it screams volumes about the state of SmackDown and the tag team division as a whole, that, you know, the best they had for the Usos, who are easily one of the modern generation's best tag teams, was Rick Boogs and Shinsuke Nakamura. Like, I'm glad that, Boogs and Nakamura got another little WrestleMania moment, whatever, but whatever. It was a match. And speaking of just a match, Drew McIntyre dispatches Happy Corbin in, I've got to be honest, a pretty sloppy singles match as well. I wasn't impressed by that either.
No, I expect more from Drew McIntyre, especially. Like, you think about his WrestleMania experiences the last couple of years, beating Brock. Sure, no one was there, but he still beat Brock Lesnar in the main event. Last year, he at least faced Bobby Lashley for that championship. And now he's fighting a dude that got lucky at a casino. How the mighty have fallen.
Just, again, another mid-card weekly TV match. Like, the fact that they spent so much time building this, I get it. Like, they're very keen on Happy Corbin. I think he's done great work. He's been a great heel. He's always kind of slowly regenerating himself. We obviously, spoiler alert, watched this amazing pay-per-view with the amazing Virus, Kane Michael, which was fantastic, a real genuine pleasure. And one of the comments I remember him making, especially about this match, was the fact that even though Happy Corbin, from our perspective at least, is a decent character, nothing's really changed. All right, he's changed, his gimmick slightly. Now he's Happy Corbin or whatever. The moveset is still exactly the same as it was when he was the Lone Wolf, when he was in NXT. There doesn't seem to be any progression from a wrestling standpoint. And even the character, not that much. Like, he's certainly developed more, but he's still the same shit-eating heel we all know. It's just that he's a little bit more confident and a little bit more obnoxious. And he's got the sidekick, which didn't really work out, who, by the way, Madcap Moss, ladies and gentlemen, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winner, which speaks volumes about how little they care about that shit. Yeah, just a match. Any other thoughts, mate?
I'd just like to point out during the kickoff show, because I did actually have it on in the background when I was playing Cyberpunk, which is a great game, by the way, if you guys haven't played it yet.
Oh, careful, you're the console workers. They're like,
when they brought up Madcap Moss showed up, I saw this on Twitter. Apparently, they said he was the Andrew the Giant Battle Royal winner. I'm like, oh, so you're disrespecting his legacy. You're disrespecting the man who was the first inductee in the Hall of Fame in '93. Good job, guys. Mental high five.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, do you remember when they used to make a big deal out of that? Like, Stephanie would come out on TV and she'd be like, oh, yeah, Andre the Giant I was a personal friend of his, and oh my God, you never disrespect him. Like, it's an honor to be in the Andre. And now it's like this fucking shitty prop that can't even get on the fucking main card.
No, it was on SmackDown.
14 matches over 2 nights of WrestleMania, but yet they couldn't find room for the ICO US champions or the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. In fact, they still found time on SmackDown to job out Finn Balor twice, just as a big fuck you to anyone who thought Finn Balor might be on the up. Fuck that match. Miz and Logan Paul pick up the win over the Mysterios. Thank God. Match was okay. What did we think of Logan Paul's performance, as this was his first wrestling match?
If I take this objectively, because I do think Logan Paul is a piece of shit human being, I really do. I'm both mad and upset because I think he did pretty good. I do think he is an athlete. Like, he did go, quote unquote, toe to toe with the greatest boxer in the world. Whether that was staged or not, that's a whole other thing we'll probably get into at some point. But the fact remains, he did go 12 rounds with Floyd Mayweather. He's a big guy. He's an athlete. So I think he did well. He didn't do as well as Bad Bunny did last year. Let's not get that far. But I think he held his own. And he was the catalyst for a Miz face turn, ? Because there's no way people are going to cheer Logan Paul. But that's weird.
Yeah, Miz,
that was really weird.
And hits the skull crushing finale, which, as you pointed out, right in the moment, which he didn't sell for shit. Like he kind of popped up, he's like up he goes, OSW style, and you're like, oh, okay, thanks for that. And sells it a little bit more after the fact. The crowd went bananas for it. Like, they fucking
Miz jumped in the crowd. There's a dude like front row. Miz just like jumped up. He was like, yeah.
Miz is the master of turning chicken shit into chicken salad. It doesn't matter what he's given. He just somehow makes it a great fucking moment. And, no Maurice this year. And, it's fucking great. Like, it's great. And the funny thing is, The Miz has probably done the most with the littlest amount over the course of 2022 so far. When you think about the match and the rivalry of Edge and Beth Phoenix, obviously with him and his wife, like, the grit couple versus it couple stuff, like, he just, everything he does do is excellent and on point. And obviously, at some point, probably building to a match with Logan Paul as well. And all right, not fantastic from a wrestling standpoint, but from an entertainment standpoint and from a headline standpoint, it could be quite good. So the match was okay. I sound horrible, but I think Dominic Mysterio is so bland. He's got boring facials. He doesn't really, he's very serviceable. Like, he can do the wrestles, but that's about it. There's nothing else really there. And the angle has really brought down for me the real luster and lore of what is Rey Mysterio being a legend as well. So I just feel like the whole thing is, like I say, it's a thing. It's a match. Yeah. Like, these are wrestlers, whatever.
Learning from his father is great because Rey Mysterio will go down as one of, if not the best luchador of all time. But Rey's never been a great entertainer.
Yeah.
Like, any of his storylines, like if you look at the custody of Dominic shit with Eddie, like if you wanted to be entertained, you would go to Eddie Guerrero for that fucking creepy ass story time.
A lot of references remember that in this match as well, weren't there?
Logan Paul hit the Three Amigos. I fucking popped my shit. I'm like, you cheap motherfucker. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Shit-eating heel work, but that was good stuff. Hey, people think you're a dickhead, play up to it. If you are a dickhead, play up to it. That's how you get to be a great heel.
Yeah, I mean, his brother did, again, during the pre-show. I don't know why I had it on. It was just in the background. But his brother came in during the pre-show. It was like, I'm going to kick everyone's ass who boos my brother. I'm like, bro, there's 78,000 people in there. Good luck, dumbass.
You fucking toe.
But no, like you said, the match was fine. The WrestleMania started off pretty slow this year on night one. But I think the same thing happened last year on night one, and then it slowly built up to what we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Yeah, the first 3 matches are lackluster in some form or fashion, although I thought the tag match was probably more entertaining. It had any right to be, just from the Miz and Logan Paul standpoint. Again, the Miz worked his ass off to make sure that you remembered it for some reason, if not for the best reason. And then we obviously get into the women's portion of things. Now, I've got to be honest, I looked at this and I thought it was very strange that they had both women's title matches on the same night, especially night one. I know that obviously they've really stacked up night two. It seems like they've really loaded that up. It's very top heavy. And so Bianca Belair takes on Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship. And out of the two women's matches, I must admit, I expected this to be the least entertaining, just because I'm not a big fan of Becky Lynch. I think she's a fine worker. I don't think she's a world-class worker. I just don't think there's anything that big time about big time Bex. I just don't. I'm sorry. She carries herself well. She's funny. She's very good looking, obviously. But whatever. Whereas Bianca Belair for me does feel like she could be a megastar, and the crowd certainly warmed to her. She had the big celebrity kind of style entrance with a marching band and that, which kind of the crowd were a bit weird. They sort of booing it a little bit at first, and then kind of started cheering.
Yeah.
I don't know. If
turned on a dime.
Yeah. Maybe they were chanting something and I missed it. Maybe they weren't booing. Maybe they were doing like a chant or something. I don't know. But once the match kicked into gear and they started telling a story, it was actually fucking excellent. And it was one of the best matches I've seen Becky Lynch ever have. And I think, again, Bianca Belair seems to get the best out of so many different people now. She's really growing as a performer. And that was so evident in this match. Her ring gear was on point. She's absolutely drop dead stunning. She's an amazing athlete, but she's also got the power. She feels so legitimate as a genuine athlete. She was like an NCAA track athlete, I believe. She was just so stupidly successful. Some people liken her to like a female Jordan in the sense of everything she touches is gold. And it's starting to feel that way. The quality of what she's doing is just getting better and better and better. Promos still not my personal cup of tea, but they're fine. They're absolutely serviceable. And she captures the Raw Women's Championship, and the fucking stadium really took off from that point on. Like, as soon as she won the belt, the place lost its marbles, and it was a great match. It really was quite a special match, actually. It was excellent.
It was nice to see that. Like, sure, she wrestled Sasha last year and did get like that moment in front of the first crowd in, almost 2 years. But this was the first like full capacity Mania I think she's been at. And when you've got like 78,000 people losing their minds for you, like it was a cool moment. When she hit that KOD, the entire place popped. It was great. It was a great end to what I would arguably call my favorite of the two women's matches, because we'll talk about it, but the end of the SmackDown Women's title was left a little bit of a bitter taste in my mouth.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that both women's matches were top quality, and for me, formed the spine of what made an excellent show. But yeah, no, it was excellent. It really was fucking great. It's very difficult to say, at least from just a sheer quality of wrestling standpoint, which was the better match. I honestly thought Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair would completely blitz this in terms of quality of wrestling, and it didn't. It was very neck and neck if you look at them. And obviously, like you said, the booking might have had something to do with that choice, and that's fair enough. Then, of course, we got what we all thought was going to happen. We worried that they might have a swerve, might have something stupid. Out comes Seth Rollins. He looks ridiculously hilarious. He's got a choir singing. It was great. Like, I thought it was fucking great. I'm really enjoying Seth Rollins. Who was Seth Rollins' mystery opponent? It was exactly who we thought it would be. And in some ways, because of all the stupid swerves and stuff, we actually were really happy and really relieved as well, which probably formed an even bigger pop in some ways for the stadium. Cody Rhodes returns to the grandest stage, WrestleMania. He comes out, he's got Kingdom, but it's literally like, it's like a transplant from AEW. He's got everything. He's got the gear, he's got the neck tattoo. Obviously, he's not going to cheese grate at that, although
Vince, take that off before you go out there.
Yeah, can you imagine Vince like, cover that shit up, get some foundation on. It worked. It worked. The pyro, the lights went out. They waited forever, and then he came out from the floor, and it was just
wrestling has more than one royal family.
It was great.
I popped.
Yeah, no, I thought the whole thing was fucking great, and people are going to dissect this probably more than anything else on the night, other than maybe possibly the main event, which you can't really dissect because that's just something different. That's just something special. But that obviously the wrestling world is going to watch this match here because they're going to say, it's Cody Rhodes. He was better in AEW. He left AEW. Good theory, obviously, again, by our boy Kane, saying, like, you know what? It's hard to get over the fact that this is a guy who kind of, said, fuck you, I hate this company. I'm going to go and form a brand new viable alternative, which took off like no one, even us, could believe. despite the financial backing. And now he's kind of back after having it's almost like he threw a big hissy fit and said, fuck you guys, left home, went and fucking trolled around for a while, got lucky, found a beautiful home to live in for a while, and then thought, although I've done well here, I still want the money that comes with living at home with mum and dad. So here he comes flying back. The match had some moments where you thought, but overall, it was a fantastic contest. Obviously, Meltzer's only going to give it 2.5 stars because he's going to have a little cry.
Well, that's generous.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, it's no Tokyo Dome, mate. Simple as that. Fuck that guy. But, I thought it was excellent. The storytelling was great. And that's what Cody Rhodes' strength is in storytelling. And, of course, he picks up the win with the most magic. The finish to the match was probably the best booked finish of any match because it was just masterful. The tribute to his father and then another crossroads to make sure that Seth Rollins stays down. It made Seth Rollins look very strong, which he was going to do anyway. Like you said, it doesn't hurt him to lose at all here. Nobody cares about that. They're still going to see him as a big deal. And he was the perfect guy to meet Cody Rhodes at the door and test him out to see whether he could still have a high caliber pay-per-view match. And obviously he can. And I think he's going to grow and get stronger back in this system. How was the return of Cody Rhodes for you?
Honestly, it was imperative to me that they got Kingdom because like Smoke and Mirrors is great, but Cody was a kid with that one. Kingdom is what everyone now would know. It's what kind of entrance music is just so important to a wrestler because it's the first thing you hear. It's the biggest first impression. And when you just hear like the opening drums, like I lost my shit. I'm probably woke someone upstairs, but it was great. He came down, like you could tell he was definitely like overwhelmed with emotion because you're right. It's like, I've come home after backpacking through Europe or something. I loved it. I thought, like you say, Seth was a perfect person to kind of test him in the WWE system again because he's been here forever since before Cody left. He's just been so important to WWE and Vince as a whole. So to put these two in together, it was brilliant. That reverse superplex into the fucking reverse DDT was gnarly. I think both these guys look super good. Cody obviously wins, kisses the canvas when he's done. Very respectful guy. I'm very curious to see where they go with this. I really hope they play Cody off, as a top guy because I really think he could be. He's assuming going to be on Raw unless there's no brand split, but that's a whole other thing I'm sure we might talk about tomorrow because who the fuck knows? But honestly, Cody Rhodes is back. I'm excited to see what they do with him.
Yeah, not much else I can add to that, really. I liked it. I thought it was a great match. I think Cody suits the WWE style better than he does the AEW style. I think it actually will probably work out long-term better for both of them in that regard. Fair play. There's not much I can nitpick about this. Yeah, it wasn't the perfect match. It wasn't a 5-star, but it was an excellent, high-quality, high-level pay-per-view main event style match, and it told a great story. And like I say, I think Cody fits better here, and I think it's great. I think it's good that he is the guy that has literally just come from AEW and he's got the same music and the same look and everything like that, because you know what, you don't obviously have to mention the fact he's been in AEW. They're not going to. They kind of hinted at that, sort of said, he's not wrestled here for a long time, can he still go? You're not going to acknowledge him. That's fine, we get that. But at the same time, it's good to acknowledge that this is the guy that you have seen over there in terms of the package and how he looks. Why rebrand a Kit Kat bar, innit? You know what it is. So just bring it in as it looks. And it worked well from that perspective. Then we had what we thought was going to be the wrestling main event. Charlotte Blair defending successfully the SmackDown Women's Championship against Ronda Rousey. This, from a wrestling standpoint, was my favorite match. I thought it was fucking awesome. Not because it might not, obviously people are going to say, what about the main event? And they're like, yeah, that was special. But this was everything I wanted from this match. It was fucking hard hitting. It was snug. It was stiff. It was hard way in a lot of ways, and perfect because Ronda Rousey can take that. Ronda Rousey can give it out, and she can take it. And I hear a lot of people bitching and crying about Charlotte Flair, but this is why. Like, I'm sorry, but Charlotte Flair went out and once again had a high-level main event WrestleMania style match. She does this pretty much every pay-per-view, and we always turn our nose up. Now, the booking obviously is what's going to hurt people here. I thought, first of all, Ronda Rousey looked beautiful. I mean, obviously, I got a mad crush on the woman, as we know. Like, I just think she's like, there's something about her very empowering and very special. She's just beautiful. But I love how legit she feels as well. And everything, the transitions, I mentioned this while we were watching it, everything felt like a tooth and nail fight to the death. Like they were clawing and scratching for everything. Every hold, every ankle lock, everything felt like it was an absolute fight to the death to get it nailed on. Every time she had an ankle lock on, every time she had the figure eight, which she escaped from, was fucking gnarly. Like everything, just they were clawing, clutching at straws just to get an advantage over each other. The facial expressions, the acting, the storytelling. I think this is genuinely a masterclass in wrestling. However, Ronda Rousey doesn't win, despite only obviously being back since the Royal Rumble. I know you're not a fan. What do you think?
I don't like ref bumps at WrestleMania. I don't like ref bumps in general, but the ref goes down. Ronda gets the armbar, and we all see the visual win.
At least he took a spear. Like,
I mean, fair enough. We could justify it any way we want. I hate it, but Ronda gets the visual victory. Doesn't matter, and then Charlotte wins with a big boot. I don't care if Charlotte's got the best big boot in the business right now, because honestly, I can't think of anyone else that does one. But it wouldn't matter because hers is bloody brilliant.
Yeah,
but it wouldn't have mattered to me how Charlotte won, because I don't think she should have. I think this was like, Ronda's just come back. She's your biggest star apart from Lesnar. And this was the perfect time to do so. They're going to run it back at WrestleMania Backlash. You just know it. Why give her the win there when you could have done it at WrestleMania? Like, I don't know, man. It's the chase is always more fun than the destination, especially for a babyface. But when Ronda could kill you in 8 different ways with just her bare hands,
In the moment, I was a little bit gutted because obviously I'm just like super mark for fucking Ronda Rousey. It just seemed like it was just the done thing, which in many ways made it kind of cool, because it was like, okay, that's not what I expected at all. And I know people like, the internet is obviously ablaze because, I don't even have to go on social media. I know if I go on Twitter right now, it's fuck Charlotte Flair all over the place. They're going to be shitting on it. 2 things. It cements that, to be fair, she doesn't need it, but it does cement Charlotte Flair even more as the heel of the women's generation, especially the modern generation. But also, it keeps the crowd, I think, more invested in Ronda Rousey as a face for now. Because I think one thing that I do worry about with fans is they're very fickle. We all know that. We're all fans. We're all fickle at some point, and particularly these hardcore marks who watch everything and, just fine-tooth comb everything that they watch with WWE. They're going to sit there and think, Ronda Rousey, if she's won, all of a sudden it's like, well, now she's at the pinnacle. She's at the top. She's the women's champion. So now the only way to go is really downhill. And now we just see her as, she just strolls back in, self-entitled superstar from MMA, comes in, just takes the belt, whatever, doesn't put any work in. She's going over. She's taking someone's spot. Doesn't matter who she beats. She could be God herself. And people would be like, fuck you, because they're just fickle like that. So at least from this perspective, you're sitting there thinking, okay, well, I still I'm intrigued. What's she going to do? Does she get another title shot? Does she not? Does she have to go to the back of the line? Does she have to hammer away for everybody? Can you build her up all the way to something like SummerSlam? And then she gets a redemption shot or whatever. She has great value. And I feel like she'll probably have slightly more marquee value here. Problem is, how long till you pull the trigger? Because she's going to have to win something eventually, particularly the belt. So, that depends. But there is also the big, dangling carrot is, of course, her versus Shayna Baszler. That for me is the money tie that they have available to them. And I look forward to them hopefully trying that out. And also maybe testing her against some of the more, shall we say, underutilized talents. I want to see Liv Morgan in there with Ronda Rousey. I want to see her have an opportunity. So yeah, and obviously Liv Morgan versus Ronda Rousey is like the dream, and let's be honest, it is for me.
Yeah, that's fair.
But all in all, it was okay, because if you turn okay around, you get KO. And you get the KO shot.
Well done.
And let's be honest, I was going to be okay with what I thought we were going to get. I thought we're going to get a chat show, we're going to get a brawl, we're going to get a stunner, and it's a go home. And that would have been okay. Or KO. But we won't milk it again, don't worry. But it's one of those things where you thought, do I want more? You asked that question. I'm not sure if I want to see this. Austin comes down, of course, as KO's guest. Now, first of all, KO is on fire. The heat. Like, KO exploded with adrenaline off the screen. He just tore out of the TV into you. It was a masterclass. And this is what we've been saying pretty much since day one, when we remember watching him in NXT when he first came in and decked Sami Zayn and everything that went with that. This is a guy who truly should be your main eventer. And this will be, if he doesn't main event pay-per-view after pay-per-view and become the biggest star that the company can have after this, then there is no hope for WWE. And then I will completely agree with all these angry smarks who just shit on everything they do, because KO comes out, sets the scene beautifully. Austin comes down, magical moment. And then we have, he goads him into a match. He goads him into a match, and you think, okay, maybe like a couple of minutes, and we're going to get the stunner and cool, whatever. As long as we don't get what we got with The Rock when he buried fucking, what was it? I think he beat Eric Rowan in
6 seconds. It was 6 seconds.
That was at Mania 32 as well, wasn't it? Fuck that fucking
I think, yeah, because 32 is the one that had The Rock fucking light his name on fire. Yeah. Fucking the flamethrower and shit. Yeah, well, that was
garbage. So I was worried it was going to go like that, and I was happy it didn't. They went 13 minutes, and they fucking just brawled all around the arena.
That was 13 minutes?
Austin took a suplex on the concrete, and then he proceeded to suplex KO on the stage and take back bumps, and they were smacking the shit out of each other with stuff, and Austin was going. And the funny thing is, at the start of it, you thought, is Austin okay to go? The stomps look a bit edgy. Is he got the energy? And then it got stronger and more fluid. And then it was almost like you were watching him like Benjamin Button style, getting younger and younger. And you're like, what's going on here? He even takes a stunner. Yeah, he took a stunner off of KO. And that for me right there was the cherry on the top of the perfect main event. Now, people are going to say it's not the proper main event because it only main evented night one. Fuck you. It's a main event. It closed the show. Therefore, it is a main event. Doesn't matter if there are two nights. This is a main event. KO forever will be known as the guy who wrestled Stone Cold Steve Austin, most likely in his last ever match, in the main event of WrestleMania. I think it will be remembered just as much as Lesnar versus Reigns. I really do. Masterpiece. He's your Canadian brethren, mate. The floor is yours. Wax lyrical about KO and his outing with Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I mean, you got to start off with KO Mania. What's that, 6 or 7?
6,
I need to go back and buy every single one because everyone is just brilliant.
Great t-shirts.
The way he just looked at us, he's like, "Sorry, Steve, I lied to you. I didn't want to just talk. I wanted to fight." And I'm like, I figured because you came down in your ring gear, and then you see Austin come out. He's got the knee braces on. We're like you and I were sitting here, Kane as well. We're like, okay, is it? And then it happens. It's a no holds barred match, which I'm like, what? Austin could die. He hasn't wrestled in 20 years. Like, that please be careful.
I think he needed that little crutch just to kind of, help him out a little bit. And
it was a little spooky, but like you said, when he gets KO down the corner. He's stomping the mud hole and walking the drive, but the stomps were a little slow. And we're like, okay, I think he was kind of playing up to the crowd a bit, because then he actually did it. And that was the 98 Austin we all remember. And it was brilliant. You said it perfectly. He Benjamin Buttoned himself, because as the match went, he turned the clock back to 2001, man. Like that, the ATV spot was the best thing I've ever seen. KO tries to steal the ATV and he can't turn it on for whatever reason. And then Austin just fucking clubs him a few times, gets on behind him, and just drives it up the ramp. It was the funniest thing. But guys, we saw Steve Austin wrestle in 2022 against who I'm pretty sure Kevin Owens is going to be my wrestler of the year this year. It's like April, but try and find someone who's done just as much as Kevin Owens in the last 4 months. He main evented WrestleMania. Sure, it wasn't for a world title, but you know what? I think he's got one coming this year. You don't get Stone Cold Steve Austin in the main event of WrestleMania without a little sugar on top later.
Yeah, he needs it. He does. He needs it. I think and like you say, it's just it's the perfect.
It's surreal.
Yeah, but what's scary is like we could have had KO go to AEW, and I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna harp on it too long because I don't really care about AEW. I don't like whatever, and I'm not a big fan of mainstream wrestling at all. But you're gonna watch Mania, aren't you? KO would have never ever had anything close to this in his entire AEW run. Nothing, like absolutely not. It just would not have happened. So the fact that he got this, and this, I'm sorry, but if I'm Vince McMahon, I'm sitting there thinking, holy shit, you did something really special tonight. And because of that, I can now trust you to be a megastar. I can trust you to go on and be like a Reigns or Lesnar. Maybe not in the same kind of style, obviously, but this is the heel of your company. This is the heel of your company. And if they don't use him right after this, well, there is no hope for WWE. There really isn't. But it was magical. And it was everything I wanted it to be. And it was unnerving, but it was also inspiring, and it was powerful, and it was emotional. And, and Byron Saxton gets another stunner for his troubles. And Austin's brother is in the ring. And the whole thing just worked so well. And it was, if there was a perfect storm of a scenario for how this could have worked, this is it. It went off without a hitch. Like, this is that perfect circle that you look at and you think you could just never draw it, and they managed to hit it perfectly. Absolute perfection. Full circle finish. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And hopefully the perfect end to Austin's career. Mate, I don't need anything else now, bud. We're good here. Magical. Awesome.
I don't think anyone else could have done this but Kevin Owens.
No, I don't think so. I wouldn't have trusted anyone. And I don't believe that anyone else would have had the energy and understood the gravitas of the situation. I think everybody who's been put in their spot has, for WrestleMania, like Sami Zayn's got Johnny Knoxville, Austin Theory's got Pat McAfee. They all feel like they fit. Those are pieces that all fit so well, and this was the perfect spot for Kevin Owens, and it was the biggest spot in WrestleMania. If you're not in Reigns and Lesnar, this is the only other major big spot, and Kevin Owens took it and he ran with it, and he excelled, and he broke all records you could ask for. Masterpiece, absolute masterpiece. If you watch this and you didn't enjoy this, fuck you. Like, I'm sorry, but fuck you. Like, if I go on fucking social media and see just even people I work with in the business going, yeah, fucking that was shit, blah, 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 I'll just be like, you're a moron. I'm sorry, but you just don't get it. You just don't. You obviously don't get it. And if you don't get it, that's cool, but don't talk to me because I dislike you. Simple as that, really.
If you don't like this, I don't want you listening to our show.
No, I don't want you listening either. Go away.
Like, I don't know why I said ours. This is yours, but I like to pretend I do.
It's ours. It's definitely a team effort, I like to think.
But I remember looking at this and going, do I really want Austin to come back? Because his retirement at Mania 19 was perfect. This supersedes that.
It's a spot to it. It's as close to it. I think the Rock thing will always be the most magical thing, but this is the closest thing you could have got to perfection, in my opinion, in terms of coming back.
I don't know if we've mentioned it yet, actually, but Austin goes over. I don't know if we actually said that at all because we were gushing about it as in its entirety.
Yeah, he got him with a stun.
And can I just say, Kevin Owens' sell of the stunner is brilliant. It's not an oversell like The Rock. It's like Kane said, it's just a dead sell where you just hit it and he kind of stumbles a bit and then he doesn't do like the Ric Flair fall, but just dies.
Yeah.
And it was great. It's weird, you know, Austin is old school. You'd expect to see him go out on his back. But you know what? I'm not upset with this. It's the same as Seth and Cody. KO loses nothing in this defeat. His stock has just tripled because he was trusted enough to get Stone Cold Steve Austin in the year of our Lord 2022.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you think of Night One of WrestleMania? Did it supersede all of your expectations?
It did because, like we said at the top of the show, night 2 is it's stacked. And this night started off real slow. But the event has got me feeling like it's fucking WrestleMania, man.
They always bring you around, don't they? They always get you back.
I don't know how they manage it, but I guess it started when I watched the Hall of Fame, seeing the Taker speech, which is brilliant and heart-wrenching in every way. That kind of got me going, and then just now it's 1 a.m. for me, 6 a.m. for you, give or take. But I can feel the adrenaline in my soul. Like I'm so happy, man. I can't wait to do this again tomorrow.
Yeah, no, it makes it easier. It makes life easier when you get to do things like this. Ladies and gentlemen, let us know what you thought, like especially in the comments below. And if you listen to this via audio, because it'll be available on all platforms, you know, send in a message at WrestlePlug on social media or WrestlePlug@gmail.com. Let us know what you think of WrestleMania. We're happy to talk about it after the fact as well. So if you got opinions on night 1 and you want to read out for the night 2 podcast, let us know. We'll be recording it straight after the show pretty much. So yeah, get involved. Hopefully you enjoyed it as much as we did. And I think a lack of expectations in many ways brought about a very, very special night. But as far as we're concerned, that'll do. We'll be back for night 2. And of course, there's plenty of other stuff coming from our YouTube as well. Loads of watch-alongs and things of that nature. So watch out for that, interviews as well. But it's all about WrestleMania this weekend. And night 1 certainly delivered. Will night 2, with the stat card that it is, deliver in the way we want it to? Because this is the one that has more expectation. We shall see. From myself, Aaron X, and for Carl Wilkinson, thank you very much for watching. And we'll catch you very soon for more content from the WrestlePlug.